Hey children, welcome to our final revision session for these 2 weeks free class. Yes, today we are going to be looking at all the topics we have went through since the beginning of this session from day 1 to day 11, which was yesterday. The first topic is multiples and lowest common multiples. Yes, in this topic, we talked about multiples. What are multiples? We say multiples are the numbers gotten by multiplying a number by a whole number. And we get multiples of numbers by multiplying that number continuously. Where we say the multiples of 3 are 3 times 1, 3, 3 times 2, 6, 3 times 3, 9, 3 times 4, 12, continuously and in that manner. And then we talked about common multiples. We said common multiples are multiples that is being shared by two different numbers. For example, if multiples of 4 are 4, 8, 12 continuously, since 12 is a multiple of 3 and 12 is also a multiple of 4, then we say 12 is a common multiples of both 3 and 4. So we talked about this. And the final one, we talked about lowest common multiples. And we say lowest common multiple is the smallest number that can be divided by a group of numbers without leaving a remainder. For example, if you have two numbers 4 and 6 to look for the lowest common multiples, the first method of doing this is to find the multiples, find the common multiples, and then find the lowest common multiple. We talked about this method. We said the multiples of 4 are 4, 8, 12, 16, 20 continuously, and the multiples of 6 are what? 6, 12, 18, 24 continuously. You write the common multiples, the numbers you can find on both sides, you write them down. For example, 12 is automatically the lowest common multiples. And sometimes you have huge amount of numbers. For example, you have to look for the lowest common multiples of 14 and 20. These are huge numbers to find the lowest common multiple. The best thing you can do is to use the division method, where you start dividing by the lowest number possible. Like to divide by 2, 14 divided by 2 gives you 7, 20 divided by 2 gives you 10. And you check if you can still divide by 2. 2 can still divide. Therefore, you still divide by 2. 7 divided by 2 is going to have remainder. So we keep on writing our 7. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And now, 2 cannot divide, 3 cannot divide, 4 cannot, but 5 can divide. While here remains 7, here turns 1. Then 7 divides, and we now multiply all this to get the LCM. So the LCM is going to be 2 times 2 times 5 times 7. And when you multiply these together, you are going to get 140 as your LCM. Now, you have to be very good at multiplication for you to be good at LCM. So, these are the things we did in our first topic. You have to know how to find the multiples of numbers. You have to know how to get the common multiples of 2 or more numbers. And you need to know how to solve for the lowest common multiples of a group or a set of numbers. That is the first thing you should learn. The second topic is highest common factors. Yes. And we said factors are numbers that can divide a number without leaving a remainder. Yes. So the factors of 4 are those numbers that can divide 4 without remainder. And the factors of 6 are numbers that can divide 6 without remainder. What are those numbers that can divide 4 without remainder? The first one is 4. The first one is 1, 2, and 4. If you divide 4 by 3, there is going to be a remainder. Therefore, we don't use 3. In 6, what are the numbers that can divide 6 without remainder? 1 can do that, 2 can do that, 3 can do that, and 6. These are the common factors. These are the factors of each numbers. Then you look for the common factors. The common factors are 1, 2, yes, just 1 and 2. And the biggest one, which is the highest common factor, is automatically 2. This is the first method of calculating highest common factor. The second method is by prime factorization, where I told you you break these numbers into their prime numbers. For example, 4 and 6, we have to break them. 4 is going to be equal to 2 times 2. They are both in prime numbers. While 6 is going to be equal to 2 times 3. So you can see we can have common numbers that are 2. These are 2 factors. 2 can't take 3, therefore just 2 we have. And 2 is the highest common factor. The same with what we have here. So this is the second thing you should learn. Learn multiples, common multiples, lowest common multiples. Also, you are going to learn factors, common factors, and highest common factors. Another topic I'm going to need you to focus your attention on is fraction. Yes, what are fractions? Fraction is a term used to represent a part of a whole number. And we have 3 different types of fractions. We have the proper, we have the improper, and we have the mixed fractions. The proper fraction has the denominator greater than the numerator, that is 2 out of 3, which is possible, 1 out of 4, which is possible, while the improper has the numerator bigger than the denominator, like 6 out of 4, which is not possible, 7 out of 2, which is also not possible, that is improper. Here the mixed number have a whole number and a proper fraction. And yes, out of all these fractions, I taught you how to convert fractions from improper to mixed and from mixed back to improper, which is something you are supposed to learn. When you have 2 whole number, 3 out of 6, when converting this fraction, you multiply 6 times 2 to get 12, and then you add it to 3. So you do 6 times 2, 12, 12 plus 3, 15, and then you get 15 out of 6. The same thing when you want to convert back, you are going to divide. 15 divided by 6 is 2 whole number, remainder 3 out of 6. Now, remember this fraction was not in its lowest term. This is 3 over 6 instead of 1 out of 2. So this is how you convert fractions from improper to mixed and from mixed to improper. Then I taught you addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division of fraction. So I taught you addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division of fraction. In addition and subtraction, what we do is we find the LCM of the denominators, especially when they are different denominators. So we have 5 and 3. The LCM of 5 and 3, when you calculate it, you are going to get 15. So our LCM is 15. And I told you when you do that, you are going to do divide, times, divide, and times. So let's do the first one. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 3 times 4 is 12. Plus the second one, 15 divided by 3 is also 5. 5 times 2 is 10. And here 12 plus 10 is 22 out of 15. This is an improper fraction. And remember I told you you must never leave your answer in improper fraction. Therefore, we are going to divide this. And when we divide this, we are going to get 1 whole number, remainder 7 out of 15, which gives us our answer over there. In subtraction, we do the same thing. Since the denominators are different, we take the LCM of 3 and 2, and when you do that, surely you are going to get 6 as the LCM. So when you get 6 as the LCM, you do the same thing, divide times, divide times. So 6 divided by 3 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, minus 6 divided by 2 is 3, 3 times 1 is 3, minus 3. So 4 minus 3 is 1 out of 6, and this is your answer. Now let's look at the multiplication and the division. In the multiplication, it's very straightforward as I told you. You multiply the numerator by the numerator, that is 3 times 1, and the denominator by the denominator, which is 5 times 2. In this way, 3 times 1 gives you 3, and 5 times 2 gives you 10. And this is a fraction in its lowest term and is a proper fraction, therefore that is our answer. Very simple. Then in division, what I told you in division is you use a rule that says keep, change, and flip for the 3 different entities. We have keep, change, and flip. So let's keep our 4 out of 5. Let's change our division, and let's flip our 1 over 2 to 2 over 1. So now we can now multiply the numerator, 4 times 2, and multiply the denominator, which is 5 times 1. 4 times 2 gives us 8, 5 times 1 gives us 5, and 8 divided by 5 gives us one whole number, 3 out of 5. So this is how you do addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. The next thing I'm going to need you to learn is approximation and standard form. Yes, in approximation, you write a number close to its original number so that it can be easily used. While in standard form, you write a number in its power of 10 as a power of 10. Let's talk about the approximation first. You can approximate to a place value, to a given place value. You can approximate to, let me say, decimal place, which is DP, and you can approximate to significant figures. Yes. The first one, which is place value, I can give you a number 241639, and I ask you to approximate to the nearest thousand. Where is your thousand? You have to get your thousand. This is units, this is tens, this is hundred, and this is thousand. Therefore, the last number we are going to write is going to be under thousand. That means we are going to write 2, 4, and 1. We are going to stop at that thousand. But before we write it, we are going to check the next number. If it is up to 5, therefore we have to increase this 1 to 2. We round up. But if this is not up to 5, we don't increase. Here you can see this number is up to 5. Therefore, we are increasing this 1 to 2, which is going to give us 2, 4 instead of 1 now. Since this is more than 4, therefore we now have 2 instead of 1. And all the remaining numbers turn to 0. So whichever place value you are asked to approximate to, this is what you do in such a way that you end under that place value. The next one is decimal place. Assuming you have a number like, so 2 decimal places means what? You should leave 2 numbers after the decimal point. And where are the 2 numbers? The first number after decimal point is 1, the second number is here. Therefore, we are going to stop 2 numbers after the decimal point. But before we stop there, we are going to check the number if it is up to 5. This next number is not up to 5. Therefore, we are going to leave our answer like this, 24.12. Assuming this 3 is up to 5, then we are going to increase this 2 to 3. And the last one is significant figures. Yes, how many real numbers? Let's say I give you a number like this, 64986, and I ask you to approximate to 2 significant figures, 2 SF. I mean you should leave only 2 real numbers. and change the remaining numbers to 0. Just two significant figures, which is 1 and 2, which is 6 and 4. These are the two numbers I need you to write. But before then, check the next number. If the number is up to 5, like this, it's up to 5. Since it's up to 5, that means we are going to increase this one by 1. Instead of 64, it's now going to be 65. And we change the remaining three numbers to 0. So one of the major problems, the mistake that you people make is you don't check the next number before you change them to 0. Make sure you check the next number if it is up to 5. That is the major mistake you can make. After you might have approximated to the number you are asked to approximate to, check the next number and confirm that the number is up to 5 before you increase this one by 1. And if it's not up to 5, you leave it like that. That is it about approximation. In standard form, you can be asked to convert. So in standard form, you can have two different types of questions. Either you are converting to original form or you are converting to standard form. Remember, when you are converting to standard form, you have to make sure that there is only one number before the point. That means instead of 4621, it's going to be 4.621. Yes, you must have only one number before the point. But since the number was here before, that means you have moved the point how many times? 1, 2, 3. Therefore, it's definitely going to be 10 raised to the power of 3. And remember, here you move it to the left. When you move it to the left, it's going to be positive, which is going to be your answer. But when you have to convert to its original form, this number has already been moved to the left 2 times. So you have to move it back to the right 2 times. Therefore, you are going to move it 1, 2, and you get your 246. So this is something you have to focus on and practice a lot. Now, in the fraction, I just remembered, I also taught you equivalent fractions. Yes, equivalent fractions. That is two different fractions with different denominator and different numerator, but representing the same part of a whole. And I told you can get them by either expanding or by reducing. So when you are expanding, you are multiplying, and when you are reducing, you are dividing. And whatever you do, you are going to do this. Whatever you do to the denominator, you do to the numerator. For example, if we have 2 out of 3, when we want to expand it, we are going to multiply both the numerator and denominator with the same number. Let's say 2 times, and this is 3. We are going to multiply 2 of them with the same number. For example, 2 times 3, 3 times 3, and we get 6 out of 9, which is an equivalent fraction. But if we are reducing, for example, 12 out of 18, 12 out of 18, 12 out of 18, therefore, we divide with the same numbers. For example, we divide both of them with 2 with 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6, 18 divided by 2 is 9. So when you are expanding, you multiply. When you are reducing, you divide. And I told you how to check if fractions are the same. If you have 2 out of 5 and let me say 6 out of 15, and you want to check if they are equivalent, what do? You cross multiply. That is, you do 6 times 5 and you do 2 times 15. If the answers are the same, that means they are equivalent. 6 times 5 is 30. 2 times 15 is also 30. That means they are equivalent. But if the answers are not the same, that means they are not equivalent. And we also did percentage. Yes. I also taught you percentage. And I told you percentage is a type of fraction expressed out of 100. And the symbol is what? Written in this way. So 2% means 2 out of 100. And when you are converting percentages to fraction, you reduce it to its lowest term. That is, you divide. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And 100 divided by 2 is 50. When you are dividing, you must make sure you are dividing carefully. So if you have 4%. 4% means 4 out of 100, and you divide by 2. Divide by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 100 divided by 2 is 50. We can still divide. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 50 divided by 2 is 25, and this becomes your answer. So you can look for a percentage of a quantity. For example, let me say 20% of 5. How do you do that? 20% means 20 out of 100. Of, I told you of means times, and 5. So you do your normal multiplication, where you draw a straight line for them, division line. 20 times 5 and 100 times 1. 20 times 5 is 100. 100 times 1 is also 100. 100 divided by 100 is 1. So you can find percentages of numbers like this in this way. These are most of the things that we have done over the course of these 2 weeks. If I am not mistaken, is there something left? Yes, there's something left. We still have directed numbers. Yes, directed numbers. I told you numbers that have directions are those numbers that have either positive or negative being added to them. So these are different operations in directed number. The first one, minus 2 plus 4. In your number line, if minus 2 is here, you have minus 1, you have 0, you have 1, you have 2, you have 3. So from minus 2, you are going to count 4 times to the right, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. And you see your answer is going to be positive 2. So minus 6 minus 3. Remember, when you are subtracting, you are going to the left. That means you already have minus 6. And minus 3, you still move there 3 more times. Therefore, you are going to have minus 9. In this way, you have minus 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minus. And you have another minus 3. 1, 2, 3. How many minus do you have altogether? Altogether, you have minus 9. The same thing here, you have positive 4 and positive 8. How many positive do you have together? 4 and 8. You now have total of 12 positive. Now, if you have positive 3 and negative 9, you have positive 3 and you have negative 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 3 positive will cancel 3 negative. Remaining how many negative? Remaining 6 negative. Now in the multiplication, I gave you a rule that says if the symbols are the same, it will be what? Positive. If you have the same symbol, and it's negative if you have different symbols. So first thing you check is the symbol. This is negative, this is positive. That is different. Therefore, you use subtraction. Then you now multiply. 2 times 4 is 8, and that is your answer. Here you check the symbols. The symbols, are they the same or different? Negative is the same. And if they are the same, your answer would be positive. Then 3 times 8 is 24. And this is a complete revision, quick revision of everything we have done. I try to minimize my time.